Hey guys, it's TweetyExpert here, and this is a different video from what I usually do, but I decided to get a 3D pen and do a arcade Pac-Man ghost. It is something different that I don't usually do. I've done small creations with it, like a little bee and a tree, but that's about it. Anyway, here we go on the speed creation. So you see me trying to make a sketch here. I pulled up a picture, as you see right here, of this little ghost from Pac-Man. It just like it's a pixelated picture of the Pac-Man ghost, an orange one with blue eyes. So every block that I was trying to count was a millimeter long, so it was kind of hard to get dimensions right. Looking at it now, I probably should have drawn like small lines to show where each millimeter block was so I could just trace it. That would have been a lot easier. On a side note, this project took like 2 hours. I know people that have 3D printing pens are like, oh, that could have taken me half an hour. But I felt like I didn't want to print it out right now. I want to draw it out and then actually trace it. Even though I was looking at an outline sketch, I just wanted to create something. Right here, you also see that I messed up. I didn't make one of the sides long enough, so it was completely short and was hitting the eye. So right now I'm getting out the colors that I want to use. What I'm also doing is getting out glow-in-the-dark filament. It doesn't react so much, but it reacts enough where it glows if you put it under a light and then let it sit under the light, and then you could turn off all the lights in your room. It actually glows quite a lot. So now I finished my outline. I'm heating up my pen. I'm using PLA filament, and now I just got like a sampler pack of a whole bunch of different colors because I just got this, so I just needed a whole bunch of colors that I could use for different stuff I wanted to create, like the ghost. So I'm unwinding all of them because I still haven't cut off all the little zip ties that are keeping it together. So after I started to fill in the ghosts a little bit, the top and bottom part of it, I saw that I was running out of filament. I actually didn't have enough orange as I thought I would to fully fill out the ghost of how opaque it was going to be. So I decided just to run strands across and just try to cover it more than fully. It had some opaqueness to it. So I decided just to, like, as you see, run strands across, just all over the place, kind of just to fill in space, but not too much space where it took up so much filament where it was completely one brick, just barely where you couldn't see the paper underneath it. So I'm starting to see that the orange is pretty much filling in, and it's looking pretty good to me right now. I don't think much more orange needs to be put onto it, so I started to change to the glow-in-the-dark filament, but I actually have two options. I had UV and glow in the dark. So I had to go into a different room, turn off all the lights, and check which one was glow in the dark because I wasn't sure. They don't have much labeling, so I couldn't even tell which one was which. and I start to draw with the glow-in-the-dark filament. The eyes were straightforward. There was nothing else to really do except just fill in the lines. You're pretty much in a coloring book at that point. And what I found, it was easier to change from lighter colors to darker colors than it is to darker colors to lighter colors because it shows up a lot easier. So the blue actually took barely any time. It maybe took a minute to 2 minutes. It was literally just going back and forth every single time until the eyes turned out dark blue, how I wanted it to. So there you see the finished product on the paper, not standing up yet, and it pretty much munched the end of my filament. I don't know why that was, but it just munched the end of it. And I decided to take it off the paper because I was pretty much done at that point. But then I ran into a problem. This problem absolutely sucked. It got the white, the glow-in-the-dark filament and the blue got stuck to the paper. I've never run into the problem before, probably because I haven't made barely any creations yet. I need like big ones like this. This is a big project to my standards, so I had to peel it off, maybe put some like water behind it so I could peel off the rest of the paper, and it like just ruined the paper. Not like I was gonna use it again anyway. So now I'm changing to blue to orange, because I want it to stand up. I don't want it just to lay on the floor. So I decided to make the base legs for this. So I decided to just stand it up and draw on the paper and try to make legs that would help it stand up. It kind of turned into like little tentacles. So I thought it was done at that point. I took out my filament and I was like, I'll just take it off the paper and it'll stand. But then I ran into the problem where it wouldn't stand up. It was top heavy and it went backwards. So I had to put it in the plastic again, fill out the back side of it because it was falling backwards, so I needed more support on the back, and I just filled it out more so it wouldn't fall over backward. The second time I took it off, it was falling forwards. Then I had to build onto the front part of the tentacles so it wouldn't fall off, and finally after building the front and back of the tentacles, it wouldn't fall over anymore, and I was done pretty much. I was pretty much done. So off camera, I got rid of some of the more paper that was stuck onto the back. It was pretty easy to get off. If you had a little bit of water, you could just put on it, and it would just come off if you just use your nail, and it would just fold up and crumple. So I pretty much finished it. It was all done. I went to show the rest of my family because I told them I was building a little bigger project. They all liked it, I think, unless they were just being nice to me because they're like, oh, okay. It's like if a 3-year-old hands you a piece of paper with a little drawing, you're like, oh, it's great. And then actually it's just like little squiggles. So here's a picture of the finish. And I thought it turned out pretty good. And then once you put it under a light and leave it there for about 30 seconds, turn off the light, put it down, the eyes glowed pretty well. It surprised me how well it actually glowed, but sadly it doesn't glow that much in just regular where you just leave it out, but that's okay. I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night and see these eyes staring at me across my bed. Anyway, let me know if you want me to do more of these 3D creation things of different characters. I think it would be kind of cool to create a little bit of more characters I could add to the little creation pile that I only have one of, but that's okay. As always, tweet tweet.